Psychology as a discipline. As we have discussed above, psychology studies behavior, experience, and mental processes. It seeks to understand and explain how the mind works and how different mental processes result in different behaviors. So, we discussed in detail what is behavior, what is experience, and mental processes, and psychology is aimed to study these three components, and it seeks to understand and explain how the mind works and how different mental processes result in different behaviors. When we observe others as lay or common person, our own point of view or our ways of understanding the world influence our interpretations of their behaviors and experiences. So when we are observing someone and they are behaving in a certain way, we come to uh, a conclusion, or we can add to our understanding that this is how a behavior or experience comes into effect when a person is behaving in a certain way. Psychologists try to minimize such biases in their explanations of behavior and experience in various ways. Some do so by seeking to make their analysis scientific and objective. Others seek to explain behavior from the point of view of the experiencing persons because they think that subjectivity is a necessary aspect of human experience. In the Indian tradition, self reflection and analysis of our conscious experiences is held to be a major source of psychological understanding. In our tradition, self reflection, which means that when we are introspecting ourselves and somewhat talking to ourselves and reflecting and analyzing our experiences, it is said to be a major source of psychological understanding. Many Western psychologists have also begun to emphasize the role of self reflection and self knowledge in understanding human behavior and experience, because you see that nobody will understand your experiences and the reasons for your behaviors except for yourself. Even if you try to explain it to someone, you may be able to convey some amount of message to that person, to a counselor or to a psychologist or to a to anybody, your friend. But what you analyze within yourself, which is self reflection as it is being told here, is the best way of understanding yourself. And that is why it has that even the Western psychologists have begun to emphasize the role of self reflection and self knowledge, which means that spending time more with yourself in understanding yourself better and the reasons for certain behaviors and why it came through, it can be only understood best through self reflection and self knowledge in understanding human behavior and experience. Regardless of the differences in the way psychologists go about the study of behavior, mental processes, and experiences, they seek to understand and explain them in a systematic and verifiable manner. They will do it in a systematic and verifiable manner, which means that it is a valid source of information which is being collected. So psychology, though it is a very old knowledge discipline, is a young science. If one were to take the year of the founding of the first laboratory of psychology in 1879 in Leipzig, however, what kind of science is psychology still remains a debate, particularly because of the new interfaces of it that have emerged in recent times. Psychology is generally categorized as a social science, but it should not come to you as a surprise that not only in other countries but in India also, it is also a subject of study offered in the faculty of science. Because as you know, as we were discussing a few minutes back, that psychology is basically, you cannot eliminate the biological part of it. It's very much a strong biological component in understanding psychology. That is why in some places this discipline is also offered under the faculty of science, and it is and the information is getting actually richer by doing more of applying the scientific aspect to it. So many students go on to earn a BSc or MSc degree in universities. In fact, two of the most sought after emerging disciplines which continuously borrow from psychology are neuroscience and computer science. Some of us would be aware of the fast developing brain imaging techniques like fMRI, EEG, etc., which makes it possible to study brain processes in real time, right? We know that EEG, fMRI, these are very popular techniques, imaging techniques, brain imaging techniques to study the brain processes. That is when they are actually taking place. Similarly, in IT areas, both human-computer interaction and artificial intelligence cannot possibly grow without psychological knowledge in cognitive processes. So psychology as a discipline today has two parallel streams, one which makes use of the method in physical and biological sciences, and the other which makes use of the method of social and cultural sciences in studying various psychological and social phenomena. So I would encourage that students of psychology should be very curious to study both the scientific and the social science aspects of psychology to understand the subjects better. So even if you go on to earn a BA or a BSc in psychology, be open to learning different other disciplines also to understand the stream of discipline. So these streams sometimes converge only to drift apart and go their separate ways. In the first case, psychology considers itself as a discipline which focuses largely on biological principles to explain human behavior. It assumes that all behavioral phenomena have causes which can be discovered if we can collect data systematically under controlled conditions. Here the aim of the researcher is to know the cause and effect relationship so that a prediction of the behavioral phenomena can be made and behavior can be controlled if needed be. Here it is being told more about on how a scientific inquiry is being conducted, and then there is a lot of stress on collecting data which is valid, which is scientific, which is based on proper scientific methods, and if needed, controlled methods are also used. Controlled method means that there is a control group which doesn't go through any scientific experiment, and then there is a group which goes through an experiment, and then the results of both the groups are compared at the end of the result to understand that how the differences are to group which has gone through an experiment and one which hasn't gone through an experiment. So the process of scientific inquiry has gone to a greater level to understand this discipline better. Psychology as a social science focuses on how behavioral phenomena can be explained in terms of the interaction that takes place between the person and the socio-cultural context of which he or she is a part. Each behavioral phenomena is assumed to have two multiple causes, and we will now discuss these two streams separately. Like natural science and social science, we will describe and understand it in detail.